We explore the intriguing world of industrial and construction machinery in today's film, exhibiting a range of cutting-edge technology that is transforming the sector. We showcase their exceptional qualities, efficiency, and sustainability, ranging from robust crawler cranes to nimble earth-moving equipment, amphibious dredgers, and cutting-edge robotic technology. Join us as we investigate the cutting-edge innovations influencing how industrial and construction processes will operate in the future. Remember to subscribe to our channel for further behind-the-scenes looks into the fascinating world of contemporary machinery. Welcome to the Sany SCE 800TB, a powerful all-electric crawler crane that represents a revolutionary advancement in construction equipment. This crane is a representation of both environmental responsibility and technical growth, coming from Sany, a pioneer in heavy equipment worldwide. Sany, which has a sizable following in the US, is well known for its creative and effective heavy equipment business model. The SCE 800TB is an engineering marvel. With a maximum carrying capacity of 176,370 pounds, it can easily handle even the most difficult lifting jobs. With an amazing standard boom length of 154 feet, the crane can accommodate a wide range of building demands thanks to its enormous reach. With its powerful 242 kilowatts electric engine, the SCE 800TB not only performs very well, but also helps to save the environment. It is perfect for urban building sites because of its electric engine, which also guarantees quieter operation and lowers emissions. The SCE 800TB is a big stride towards sustainable and effective building methods as the construction industry develops. Discover the construction industry of the future with Sany's electric crawler crane, the SCE 800TB. Hey everyone who loves building! Introducing the Prinoth Panther T14R. The pinnacle of productivity and design in earth-moving machinery. With an astounding 29,100 pounds of payload, this crawler carrier is revolutionizing the industry. Its innovative top frame with rotatable capability revolutionizes operations on difficult terrains by providing unmatched agility in confined places. Are you curious about its capabilities? The Panther T14R is equipped with a powerful 275 horsepower Caterpillar C7. 1 ACERT engine, with a 33% gradability and a top speed of 8.4 miles per hour, it is built for optimal productivity on hills. Its roomy and ergonomic cabin also guarantees operator comfort throughout extended workdays. Just picture how much more productive your site will be with the Panther T14R. It's perfect for sensitive places because of its low ground pressure, which reduces its influence on the environment. Additionally, it is equipped to effectively handle all of your heavy-duty demands because to its remarkable payload and rotation flexibility. Don't pass up this amazing device. To see the Panther T14R in action and take your building projects to the next level, visit the Prinoth website or get in touch with a dealer. Presenting the Watermaster, an innovative amphibious multifunctional dredger designed to handle any shallow water task. The Watermaster dredges, piles, and rakes from dry ground to a depth of 20 feet, helping with anything from environmental remediation to supporting building along the waterside. It is a miracle of American engineering that personifies adaptability and mobility. Imagine a machine with a variety of easily replaceable accessories that can adjust to the specific requirements of your location. The Watermaster is a versatile solution for difficult tasks, not simply a dredger. It requires no setup times and may be transported in its entirety. Once there, it exhibits unmatched mobility as it travels autonomously on land and in the water. The Watermaster is a tried and true product with 3 decades of consistent development and widespread usage. It is essential for many industrial applications, as it is the way shallow water operations will be done in the future in an eco-friendly and effective manner. Find out how your operations may be transformed by the Watermaster. It's more than just a device. In amphibious dredging, It's revolutionary. Greetings from Gecko Robotics, and welcome to the future of infrastructure inspection. Gecko Robotics is a company that revolutionizes safety and efficiency by deploying innovative ultrasonic inspection robots for critical infrastructure. These robots, which include the cutting-edge TOCA registered trademark series, are revolutionizing the way we examine pipes, tanks, boilers, and pressure vessels. Imagine gathering 1,000 times more data at a 10-fold quicker rate than using conventional techniques. This is made feasible by Gecko's wall-climbing robots, which are outfitted with strong magnetic wheels and multi-angle ultrasonic scanning. They provide high-resolution data, identifying corrosion, cracking, and other issues in anything from power boilers to storage tanks. This data is transformed into intricate maps and digital twins by Gecko's AI-powered software platform, which provides predictive insights for improved decision-making. Gecko, which serves the power, oil and gas, industry, and government sectors, is dedicated to guaranteeing the durability and dependability of the most significant infrastructure in the world. Gecko Robotics, the intersection of innovative technologies and reliable infrastructure. Learn about the FR2255, a state-of-the-art loading crane installed on a truck that is revolutionizing heavy lifting. In the crane sector, the FR2255 has established a new benchmark since its inception in 2017. With a weight of 20.63 tons, this crane is very strong, as shown by its remarkable load torque of 1344 kmem and maximum carrying capacity of 19.2 tons. The exceptional range of the FR2255 makes it stand out. With its conventional boom extending up to 85.7 feet, it can operate with greater accuracy and reach. It can handle a weight of 1 ton with ease at its greatest reach, making it perfect for difficult and detailed lifting jobs. The second jib, which can hold a 1-ton weight, complements this and increases the crane's adaptability for challenging lifting tasks. This crane is all about cognitive control, not simply brute force. With its unparalleled safety and accuracy, the SpaceEvo control system is a reliable option for a variety of sectors, including heavy load management and construction. With the FR2255, you can experience the ultimate in lifting technology, combining cutting-edge design with unmatched performance. Introducing the SmartRock T25R, the premier construction drill rig from Epiroc to the world of sophisticated drilling. This rig is an engineering wonder that is ideal for both construction and quarrying because to its remarkable versatility, outstanding coverage, and unmatched terrainability. The technical ability of this equipment is unparalleled. It is precision engineered, with a maximum hole depth of 49 feet and a hole diameter range of 1.5 to 2.5 inches. With a strong 143 GP engine and 105.94 CFM of air capacity, the SmartRock T25R delivers effective and powerful performance. With 113.39 inches of height, 250 inches of length, and 95.28 inches of width, its transport proportions allow it to be adjusted to a variety of site circumstances. This rig provides great application adaptability with its redesigned platform, which includes useful features like a 360-degree feed swing and a 180-degree boom swing. Its intelligent RCS control system maximizes fuel efficiency, reducing environmental impact, and improving working conditions. Optimized for modern demands, the SmartRock T25R is more than simply a rig. It's a dedication to the drilling industry's future. Discover the world of cutting-edge terrain management with Fawn Trackway's medium ground mobility system. For cars with pneumatic tires, especially on rough terrain, this device is revolutionary. When it comes to building makeshift roads on low-lying, pressure-bearing terrain, the MGMS excels. Because of its unique design, which enhances mobility in challenging circumstances, it is the perfect choice for military engineering, humanitarian, and disaster relief missions. The M30H Trackway registered trademark, an aluminum panel that can handle cars weighing up to 28,655 pounds, is the system's main component. The MGMS is unique in that it can be quickly and easily deployed. The M30H Trackway registered trademark, which has a width of 10.8 feet, can be swiftly and extensively erected in 5 minutes. It is designed to resist military load classification, MLC, 30 for an indeterminate period of time on a 3% California bearing ratio ground condition, and under certain circumstances, up to MLC 40. Fawon Trackway's dedication to provide dependable and useful terrain solutions is shown by the MGMS, which can be customized to fit a wide range of vehicles and equipment. Enjoy the Dutchman 30°33 and tree shovels, and welcome to the realm of sophisticated tree transplanting. These cutting-edge spades are designed to work as hard as possible, while excavating and moving trees. They work well for moving shade trees with a caliper up to 3.25 inches, and handling conifers up to 8 feet tall, making them ideal for small to mid-sized loaders. With its distinctive cone form that guarantees less soil loss when digging, the Dutchman 30°33 and tree spade distinguishes out and works especially well for tap-rooted trees or sandy soils. These shovels are made with a 30° blade angle that allows for excellent penetration and almost 5 distinct root ball sizes. Their durability and simplicity are their main features. For professionals working in landscaping or nurseries, the Dutchman 30°33 in tree shovels provide the dependability and adaptability required. Their creative design guarantees the safe and healthy transplantation of trees while also optimizing efficiency. Discover the difference with Dutchman's expertly designed tree shovels, a necessary equipment for any tree transplanting operation. Moros hydraulic metal balers are a revolution in the recycling sector. Discover the world of metal recycling with them. Moros balers are well known for their capacity to handle a variety of materials, including ferrous and non-ferrous metals, and for their accuracy and durability in engineering. One series that stands out is the Moros GCS, which is capable of high-density baling. In particular, the GCS 800 model achieves output levels and bale densities that are not comparable to those of other machines. It can easily handle any material and format because of its design, which makes jamming almost impossible. Moros balers are more than simply machines, with features like a strong compression mechanism and an unusual guillotine cutting system. They're a monument to creative innovation. Moros balers are designed to be long-lasting and efficient, whether they are the GCF and GCJ3 compression balers or the GCV series with vertical cut and second compression. Experience the cutting edge of recycling technology by diving into the productive world of recycling with Moros hydraulic metal balers. With Hadrian X, the first mobile robotic block-laying machine in the world, welcome to the future of building. With previously unheard of speed and precision, this groundbreaking technology from FBR Limited is automating the bricklaying process and revolutionizing the construction sector. With the ability to lay up to 500 big blocks each hour, or around 120 square meters in a single session, Hadrian X is an engineering wonder. These blocks have maximum dimensions of 23.6 x 15.7 x 11.8 inches and maximum weight of 99 pounds each. Thanks to its dynamic stabilization technology, this robot is not only quick but also accurate. With the help of this special function, Hadrian X can adapt to outside influences like wind and make sure every brick is put precisely. Compared to conventional building techniques, Hadrian X significantly minimizes waste, increasing efficiency and environmental sustainability. It is designed to operate from a 3D CAD model. It can even create a house's walls in a single day, demonstrating its ability to completely transform residential building. With Hadrian X, you can embrace the future and see how innovation, speed, and accuracy can transform the construction industry. Introducing the wonder of drilling and foundation equipment, the Bauer BG45BS95. This multi-purpose drilling rig is perfect for a variety of foundation building systems because of its outstanding performance and adaptability. Regarded as a formidable instrument in the construction sector, the BG45BS95 has a drilling diameter of 146 inches and a depth capacity of 328 feet. With 588.72 horsepower, the rig's engine guarantees dependable and effective performance. Its impressive maximum height of 39.0 meters enables a wide range of depth and reach. The BG45BS95 is a go-to option for a variety of construction demands since it excels in a number of applications such as continuous flight auger, full displacement piling, and single-column soil mixing. In addition to being well known for its exceptional performance, high safety requirements, environmental sustainability, and economic efficiency, the Bauer BG45BS95 stands out for its ease of transport and quick on-site rigging. It is a wise investment in the building industry because of its strong design and outstanding resale value, which are guaranteed by its high standards of quality and longevity. Greetings from SNPC Machines, a pioneer in mobile brick technology, and welcome to our inventive universe. Originating from India, SNPC Machines presents a groundbreaking method of brick production with its exclusive mobile units, which include the BMM 410, BMM 310, BMM 160, and SBM 180. These machines, which combine mobility with excellent efficiency and quality, mark a substantial advancement in the brick-making industry. One exceptional type is the BMM 410, which can produce an astounding 24,000 to 25,000 plus bricks every hour, or 780 bricks each minute. It runs on a 160 kVA electric genset, and just 2 to 3 people are needed for the whole process, which is both automated and manual. This model offers the most versatility in brick manufacturing, making it perfect for generating bricks at any time or place. Every facet of SNPC Machines' design demonstrates their dedication to innovation. These machines are a top option on the international market since they guarantee the quality of every brick produced, not simply quantity. Experience the efficient, transportable, and quality-driven brick production of the future with SNPC Machines. With the GENS BA 915D, discover the world of sophisticated biomass processing. This groundbreaking device is evidence of GENS's dedication to environmental sustainability and efficiency innovation. The BA 915D is a flexible biomass processing solution since it can handle a wide range of materials, including domestic garbage, scrap wood, and green waste. A strong Mercedes-Benz OHM 471 LA diesel engine provides strong performance for difficult jobs and is the engine of choice for the BA 915D. With a large grinding unit and a rotor diameter that guarantees complete and effective processing, the processor is impressive. The BA 915D is an effective option for large-scale operations because of its very high throughput, which is achieved by combining this with an aggressive upper drawer-in roller. A long lowered belt hopper for simple feeding and a swivel outfeed belt for easy maintenance are two examples of the machine's smart design. The BA 915D is not only very powerful, but also shockingly nimble and lightweight, weighing less than 19 tons. Discover the biomass processing of the future with the Gens BA 915D, a device that combines sustainability, power, and accuracy. Presenting the epitome of drilling efficiency and technical innovation, the Epiroc SmartRock T40. Modern top hammer drill rigs like this one, which has unmatched fuel economy and environmental awareness, are essential to the quarrying and civil engineering industries. The SmartRock T40's robust engine, which can provide 225 horsepower for demanding drilling jobs, is its main component. This rig is appropriate for a variety of drilling applications, since it can reach depths of up to 110 feet and accommodates a hole diameter range of 2.5 to 5 inches. The SmartRock T40 stands out due to its emphasis on the operator experience. The drilling procedure is made simpler by the ergonomic user interface, which guarantees efficiency and safety. The automated elements of the rig, which include an optional hole navigation system, improve drilling and blasting accuracy while drastically lowering operating expenses. However, it goes beyond mere performance. In comparison to other rigs of a comparable design, the SmartRock T40 has 70% fewer couplings and 50% fewer hoses, which lowers the danger of leaks and simplifies maintenance. With a maximum hydraulic pressure of 3,190 psi, the hydraulic rock drill guarantees powerful and efficient drilling. With the SmartRock T40, you can embrace the power, accuracy, and sustainability of drilling in the future. With the help of the robust excavator attachment VTN crusher bucket, discover the world of effective material processing. This innovative instrument is designed for flexible and effective crushing tasks, making it perfect for the recycling industry. Because it can process material on site, the VTN crusher bucket is unique and a cost-effective way to cut down on shipping expenses. There are 5 sizes available for the FB series crusher bucket to fit different excavator models. Its jaw mechanism moves eccentrically, producing effective crushing action. To accommodate a variety of project needs, the jaws may be readily modified to generate material sizes ranging from 0.6 inches to 5.0 inches. With its reversible crushing jaw set and replacement heavy-duty anti-wear plates, this crusher bucket is designed to be tough and durable. Robust performance is ensured by the strong piston motor, and straightforward maintenance is provided by the centralized greasing system. VTN's crusher bucket is a useful equipment for recycling and material handling jobs because of its dedication to quality in both design and functioning.